Hello, everyone. Ed here from Cloud What, talking about some more interesting stuff that I've come up with as far as Mandela effect, what us light workers need to do to move forward, and some of what's going on in the world as far as the earthquakes and the lava flow going on in Hawaii, the flooding going on in Europe, just the weird weather and the weird things going on with Mother Nature, which all tie in together. So let's get into that. Basically, the first thing I want to go over is a little bit of information that for those of you who's been following the channel, I asked Pam to do a light language speaking for me to bring me not enlightenment. I wanted understanding. I wanted basically to understand what was going on. And it led me to a video, or at least I think it led me to a video. I'm one of those people that believes in signs and stuff. So it basically, that day, like within an hour, I was linked to, a video popped up in my links to check out. So I checked it out. Now, there's a few parts of this video that I wanted to just touch on, but I do recommend the entire video. I'll put a link to the video in the bottom. But the first part I want to talk about is in the video. Let me play it for you, but think of the Mandela effect when you're watching this little clip and see what you think is going on here.
From many places at the same time, and they are always connected. They are always connected with one another. So the particles are always connected. Quantum particles can communicate with themselves in the past and in the future. This is very interesting. Scientists can take a quantum particle and they know everything there is to know about this particle. They know its rotation, its plus, its minus, its charge in the present. Now, okay, they can take it into the future, and now this is the past, this is the future. Okay, you okay so far? All right, now, they can change the particle now, and it changes what it had to be in the past to get to now. They can change the particle in the present, and it changes the particle in the past, even though the past already happened.
All right. So, as you can see there, it was, I'm trying to figure out how to get me back out of the screen share, and I'm not seeing it. But as you've seen in the video, and I'm just going to leave it here until I figure it out. As you've seen in the video, though, it's, he's talking about how a particle in the future can change a particle in the past. This was an experiment done by quantum physicists where they took a particle, they split it in half, and they moved it apart from each other. And what they did to one particle was able to cause an effect on the other one. If they spun it clockwise, the other one spun clockwise. And they found out that they were linked. And then they decided they wanted to find out, were they linked just there, or were they linked in other ways? So they basically did an experiment on it, did a recording of what was going on, did hand notes and video and everything else to what was going on with this particle, and measured it with instruments. Then in the future, they went and they changed what the particle was doing by manipulating it. And then when they went back and checked the recorded data that was done by digital, the data had changed, and they knew it had changed because they were able to compare it to the written data and found out that they didn't match up. The particle had literally changed in the past so that the readings that were picked up by the machine changed with it. So it was, you know, a weird thing that happened, and nobody knew exactly the cause of what caused it. It was just a weird thing. So is that part of what's causing the Mandela effect? Now, further on in the video, he goes into talking about how the particles of our body are made up of these same particles. And anyone that's done scientific research into this stuff already knows that. This is quite literally a different, you know, the material that makes up you and me is the same material that makes up a plastic cup, the window, your car. It's all the same. The particles themselves are the same. It's the combination of those particles and the energy of those particles that make it into individual, you know, whether it be a particle of gold or a particle of plastic or whatever, or a particle of your cell. It's the energy that affects it that makes it change. Science has already proved that when you take everything down to its base level, all we're left with is particles. So that is one of those, you know, things that this is talking about. Now, as light workers, we're changing what we want our future to be. We are bringing in positive, loving energies. We're trying to concentrate on bringing in the event. You know, we're concentrating on changing our reality now. And in doing that, are we changing the past so that it's able to be what it's supposed to be in the future? People have already kind of touched on this in the Mandela effect community, and it's just one of those things that it does ask a question. Is, you know, Greg showing us that the information that's proved by science that if you change a particle in the future, it alters it in the past so that it can be what it is in the future? And that we're made up of this, and the entire world and everything we know is made up of the same energy. So if we're changing our future and our current position, are we altering the past so that it can match what we're doing? See where I'm going with that? All right, so I'm going to skip forward in the video here, and we're going to play a little bit about where he's talking about the heart, and I'm going to let you listen to that real quick. It's about 2 or 3 minutes long, so give it a quick listen, and then I'll talk about, he's basically going to tell you why the heart is as important as it is.
Two energies, the field that holds everything together. This is out of a traditional text, a traditional physics text. Look at what this says. This says if you change the electric field, that you will change the way the atom behaves, and there's actually a name for this. It is called the Stark effect. So if you change the electrical field, the Stark effect, you change the atom, or if you change the magnetic field, it's called the Zeeman effect, you change the atom. So all this is saying is that science knows today, if you change the electrical field or you change the magnetic field, you change the atom. Okay, that's good? Okay, watch what happens. What organ in your body produces the strongest electrical field in your body? Guess. Okay, see, I told you would like this. Okay, our world is made of electrical and magnetic energy, the atom. And the science says if you change the electrical field or you change the magnetic field, you change that atom. Okay, there is one organ in your body that produces the strongest electrical field and the strongest magnetic field in your body, Here's a clue. I'll give you a clue. Right there. Your heart. And it's where you have the feeling. The feeling that you had when you saw the baby girls. That feeling that we call a feeling is actually creating waves of electrical and magnetic energy in your heart that changes your body and changes your world. But you don't have to know that because you simply had a feeling. And this is what the ancients understood and what they left in their temples, in their texts, in the monasteries, in the language of their time. They understood this. Our heart, look at this. The human heart produces the strongest electrical and magnetic fields in the body. Some people said the brain. The brain does produce these fields, but look, the heart's electrical field is 100 times stronger than the brain. 100 times stronger than the brain. The heart's magnetic field is up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain's magnetic field. And the references, the technical references, I won't read them here. They're on the website, my website, if you would like the technical references. But you see what's happening here. Our heart produces the fields that change our world and change our body. Can you see that so far? Beliefs create the electrical waves. Beliefs change those magnetic waves. What you believe about yourself, what you believe about me, what you believe about your world, about your relationship to God, about peace on this earth is creating what is happening on this earth right now. Beliefs change our physical world. Beliefs change matter. Now I have to stop and ask the question, does this make sense so far? Make sense in the back of the room? It's good? Okay. I'm going to come visit you later this afternoon. Good. It's good. Okay, if this makes sense, now we can move on. 1960.
All right. So did you catch all that there where he was basically telling you that the energy of the heart is stronger than the energy of the mind, and that the energy of the heart interacts with the energy of that around us, which is what creates our reality. He's basically saying the same thing that a lot of us light workers and energy workers have been saying for a long time, and that's that this energy that we call source is everything. It's just everything created from the same energy, conscious energy that we're calling source. Some people refer to it as God, whatever. Many of you know I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in organized religion, really. I do believe in Jesus. I do believe in God, but my God is source. My God is not this being that they describe in the Bible who came down and walked in the Garden of Eden looking for Adam. My God wouldn't have to look for Adam. My God is Adam. That's kind of what Christ come to tell us. When he said he is the Son of God, and when he told us that we had the same powers that he did, and that we would do not what he'd done, but things that were much beyond that. And if you look in the Bible, it's in there. But you also have to do the research and look at all the Bibles that were hidden from mankind. In 300 and something AD, the Bible was written. And it wasn't including all the books. They changed the wording of it. They made Mary Magdalene sound like she was a prostitute, and she's not. They're two different people that they're being talked about in the Bible. And they want you to, believe that their teachings are the best. Now, there's a lot of people who out there still consider themselves Christians and read the Bible and listen to the Bible, not the teachings, because the teachings don't match the Bible. This has been why I was kicked out of church in the first place, is because I'd ask questions such as, it says God was looking for Adam. What do you mean looking for Adam? Or Adam and Eve, begat Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel. Cain was kicked out of Eden and then married someone from another tribe. What tribe? I thought Adam and Eve were the only people. See my point? I asked these questions as growing up and was told basically I was being blasphemous because these are stories and only they know the interpretations of it. Well, no, if you go out and actually look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi scrolls, and all these ancient texts that have come out and that we've been finding over the past 20, 30 years that have a lot more of the biblical text that should have been in the Bible, but they took it out. Why'd they take it out? Because they want to control you and manipulate you. Do you think that the corruption of the church is something new? Do you think that this is something that's just recently come about? The church has been corrupt since its inception. Look at their policies. Look at how the Vatican is its own country, how they've got tons and tons and hordes of ancient documents that you're not allowed to see. They're not allowed to be taken photos of because they don't want you to know about them. But you think that the church is anywhere good at all? This is nothing new. For those of you who are religious, I'm not trying to destroy your religion, but where you're putting your faith is the wrong place. God exists. God in the Old Testament says, he who is I am, thought himself into being. That's God. This is everything in creation, down to the simplest minute particle is God. That is source. That is where everything comes from. That is God. If you want to put it to the God in the Bible who's able to walk among his people like that, well, even Jesus told you that's not quite the case. He's the Son of God. You're the Son of God. You're made of the same stuff. He just came to understandings we keep getting pushed away from because we're being controlled and corrupted. They don't want us to know our power. We are co-creators. What we choose to happen is what's going to happen. It's why things are changing now, because enough of us are waking up to what's going on and realizing it and trying to affect real change, not just in our own lives, but with those around us, which is causing a change in the energy, which is then, in my opinion, and again, it's an opinion, I don't have any scientific backed facts to prove this is what's happening. But there is evidence, like I just showed you, that we are changing our reality now and towards the future. And as such, because of the way we're made, and because there is no such thing as time, everything is happening now, we're changing the past, which isn't really the past. It's a reflection of our idea of the past. I've said this in another video. Time is an illusion. Tomorrow is just a possibility. What we choose it to be is what it's going to be. And in order for our minds to be able to comprehend that, our understanding of the past changes. So, it's a global event. This isn't just us in the United States talking about the Mandela effect. It did seem to start out that mostly it was the U.S. people talking about it and noticed it, but it wasn't just the U.S. There were other people in other countries noticing it. They just didn't say anything until, like a lot of U.S. people didn't say anything until a group formed. Now that there's a group formed, people around the world are talking about this. And it's changing globally. Things are changing globally. Tiananmen Square, the kid that stood in front of the tank. In my reality, they flattened his ass out. They just ran him over. They didn't even stop, hesitate, or nothing. It's kind of why the song from Sick Puppies that, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight says, you stand up against tanks, the tanks are going to win. Well, in this reality, unless it's changed again, which it may have, I haven't kept up, he didn't get run over. The tank stopped. Okay. But these things are happening because of us. We're changing it. We're making our future what we want to be. So the past is changing to make that possible. At least in my opinion. Like I said, there is evidence. But you can find evidence to prove any theory. There's really no way to, lock down that this is fact. I've said it before. The only thing I do know is I don't know anything. I have ideas, I have, theories, but I don't know anything. There's no way for me to know anything until full disclosure happens. We're awakened up and we're given our memories back because we know what is. We're with amnesia. And, the more we dig into it, the more we research, the more we find evidence of wrongdoing, we start waking up and we want to change that reality. And in changing our future and our present, we're causing the Mandela effect in the past. Like I said, there really is no past. And this is also the whole Q phenomenon. And I know right now the Q phenomenon is kind of a taboo subject because you got people like Uni Rock and Anti-School and that coming out saying, oh, it was all fake. It was all bullshit. But their evidence is A, circumstantial. B, nowhere has any evidence come out specifically pointing to who Q was or anything else. There's evidence that the people that were running 8chan were trying to make money off of it. And there's evidence of that in a lot of other directions too. And Anti-School is one to talk when he was trying to make money off of it as well. So, and even Unirock, they have sponsors, they have Patreon, they have chats where they ask for money. I'm less likely to believe people who are asking me for my money and constantly asking me for my money than somebody who's not asking me for anything and is just putting up information. I've talked about who I follow and why in the past. If you're one of these people that are out there begging for money all the time, I'm sorry, I have nothing for you. You are, in my opinion, in it for the money. You're not in it for the truth. If you were in it for the truth and for the movement, then you would be moving from the heart, not from the pocket. I understand that, we have to make a living, and I'm all good with that. If I ever get to the point where I have 1,000 subscribers and I can start monetizing my channel, I probably will, because I don't have any other job. This is what I do. I have QHHT and BQH and stuff like that, but I haven't charged for any of it. I have property that we're allowing people to use for free. I don't ask people for money. I try to do as much as I can for people who are in worse shape than me. Sometimes they're in better shape than me. They just need something that I have. And I try to give that. I try to share my information freely. I try to share my skills freely. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be sharing. We're not supposed to be, going, ooh, give me more, give me more, give me more. That's greed. That comes from a place of not love. So this is my opinion. And it doesn't matter where you look in the world right now. The deep state is everywhere. I mean, everywhere. There's not a safe place on our planet to get away from the deep state, Mother Nature, because if you've looked, she's pissed off as hell. And it's not all being caused by weather modifications and everything else. It's being enhanced by weather modification. But this shit's been coming on for a while, and it's a provable cycle. We're entering another grand solar minimum. It's going to happen. Can they intensify it? Yeah. Are they? Probably. I'm not stupid enough to sit here and say that, this stuff doesn't happen. When I grew up in the military, I was born and raised in the Air Force, living on bases in military hospitals, had surgery on myself that wasn't available in the general population in a military hospital 10 years before the surgery that I had was even talked about outside of the military in mainstream public. I had an operation on my hip to replace cartilage that hadn't even been talked about, even hinted at in mainstream medicine. Have seen pictures and evidence of UFOs and other stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and be deluded with the fact that this isn't a global situation. It is. It has been. I've been in Germany. I've been in England. I've been to Belgium. And I've been around the United States several times. It's pathetic. I growing up in the military, you move every year or two, and since my dad retired, I move every year or two. Still, it's one of those things that it's hard for me to not do because it was part of my life. If I ever settle down, it's going to be amazing. But it doesn't matter if you move to New Zealand, Australia, anywhere. You're going to have weather problems going on everywhere. Even where I am in Oregon, we're not dealing with the hailstorms, the flooding, or anything else. But last summer we had some major wildfires here in Oregon and Washington, and this year they're already telling us we're going to get a lot of the same. So it doesn't matter where you go, whatever extremes are in your area, there are extremes. They're going to be different everywhere you go, but the weather patterns are changing and everything else is going on. The deep state is entrenched in every government in the world right now. Doesn't matter if you go to Africa, New Zealand, Zimbabwe, it doesn't matter. The government in every country right now has been infiltrated. There's people in all these countries stirring up shit, causing problems. Doesn't matter if you're in Italy, like my friend over there, Andy from what's his channel name? I can't remember at the moment. Oh, Andy, what's your channel? I've talked about him before. Anyway, you all know who he is. Over at Total Eclipse, that's it. If you go over to Total Eclipse, Andy's in Italy, and they got a bunch of political shit that just started, getting stupid again. And I don't know how to help him. Andy, come to the United States. I'll put you up in my place free until you get set up. That's the best I can offer, because it doesn't matter where you go in the country or in the world, something is going on. Politically, things are going on and going through turmoil throughout the world. It doesn't matter what country you look at. And if it isn't in full swing yet, like it is in some countries, it's going to be. It's a fact of where we are today. Is all this going to smooth out, and are we going to move forward as a species into enlightenment? I hope so. I'm hoping that the event comes and everybody stops with this greed and hate and everything else, and we can move into more of a loving, compassionate society, because really we are as a people for the most part that way. We don't want to go out and make our fellow human beings miserable. Most of us, when we see somebody broken down on the side of the road, want to stop. We don't. I don't even do it. Why? Because if I stop, somebody could get sue happy, because everybody's sue happy nowadays. All you got to do is put a little ding in their car, and oh my God, you ruined their car. You're afraid to give somebody CPR because, and this has happened, you might get charged with rape because you saved somebody's life. It's very hard in our society to reach out that hand and help somebody, because you don't know what's going to happen on the other side. And it's not necessarily these people's fault that do these things, because we've bred this society. This society didn't just grow out of nothing. It's been created. We're constantly kept at each other's throats. We're constantly being divided and conquered. We've got, oh my goodness, you've got the feminist movement now, who's, if you're a white feminist, you're bad because you don't understand the ethnicities, problems with being a feminist. You're all wrong, because the feminist movement right now isn't about feminism. It's about destroying men. You're not trying to raise yourself to men level and be equal. You're trying to push men out of the picture. Why do you think they're trying to get rid of the word man in everything? They're trying to get rid of anything that's masculine. And if you look, this is really what's going on. These movements are done nothing but to cause more divide. The more they can keep us divided, the more they can keep us squabbling over all these little stupid things, the less we pay attention to the big picture of what's really going on our planet. I've stopped following so many people, mainly because they have their head locked into one position. They're focusing on one event, one scenario, and they've let go of everything else that's part of that scenario. It's all connected, you know? And when you start looking at something as, well, everything's evil, the deep state's always going to be there, everybody's in the government is corrupt, and you know, everybody in the church is corrupt, everybody in the FBI is corrupt. It's not the case. The case is really that a lot of these people are there trying to do what they think they're supposed to be doing, the right thing. They're trying to help you, me, everybody else. The people in control of that are taking and controlling the situation. The people that that infiltrated the top parts of not just our government, but of all governments, of corporations, media. And in media, I don't just mean broadcast news and broadcast stations. I mean media as far as radio, TV, movie, all of it. They've infiltrated and corrupted everything. And by doing that and controlling what we see, what we hear, they've manipulated us as a society into the way we are. Most of us don't want to be the people we are. A lot of us, especially if you look at the people who are starting to come into the Lightworker movement, they're tired of being the people we are, of being in corporate jobs and being greed and give me more, give me more, give me more, because it's not bringing you happiness. It's not bringing you joy. It's not bringing you fulfillment. Those things come from family, friends, going out and spending the day fishing with your father or your son or your brother or just your neighbor, going out and doing something with somebody that's close to you that makes you feel happy. That's what we all want. We want to be able to live. We're not living, we're existing. And we're doing a very poor job of even existing. Most of us are working our asses to the bone just to keep above the poverty line. I mean, it's the people of this planet are getting fed up with it. We've been slaves to a system that has done nothing but cause corruption, destruction, and our spiritual well-being. So I'm gonna end this up and stop rambling now, because I think y'all got the point. And actually, as a final shout out notice to my boy there, Andy, over there, if he wants to get out of Italy, like I said, there's really no place that you can go that's any better as far as the governments. Really, there's not. And as far as the weather, there's something going on everywhere right now. But hey, you're welcome to come here. I'll put you up in my place until you get set up. So until next time, I love y'all. God bless. I'm out.